Alright guys, so there we got some news coming out of Minnesota. We've got a lovely pharmaceutical lobbying group that decided to, you know what guys? Today we have a virus, we have huge financial pain, 20% are unemployed, but we wanna block a law which allows for poor Minnesotans to afford insulin. And this is only for emergency use, by the way. So, all right. So there's this new law which was recently passed called the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act, which is named after this man Alex Smith, who died as a 26-year-old man because he couldn't afford to pay $1,300 for an insulin refill, and he had no health insurance. So, really, just a really sad story, frankly. And he's not the only one. The amount of people that ration insulin in the US is pretty extraordinary, but that's due to a whole number of factors. Like, since 2002, the price of insulin has tripled in the US. But anyway, that's besides the point. Right now, this story is specifically about how this pharmaceutical lobbying group decided to sue the state of Minnesota for allowing poor people to afford insulin and not die. So, all right. So their claim as to why this is illegal is because, according to these people, right, they feel as though it violates the takings clause of the Constitution by unlawfully accommodating private property without just compensation. So essentially, they want more money from the state of Minnesota. It's funny, guys. First of all, they can do whatever the fuck they want, because if Bernie was in power right now, you would probably just be not even a thing. You would probably just be nationalized right now. So be happy with what you have, Pharma lobbying group, because I don't think it's gonna get much better for you here on out. Although I mean it might, but hopefully not. But their claim is that this somehow goes against the U.S. Constitution because they're forcing drug companies to pay to set reasonable prices. By the way, these aren't even like excessively low or anything like that. These are just normal prices. So in the US, a normal thing costs $1,300 for a refill of insulin, while in Canada it costs $130. So that's 10 times less in Canada than it is in the US. Wait, what's the difference again? Oh, that's right. Canada has a single payer health. Anyway, I'll let you guys figure that one out on your own. But so just to give you more details on the actual act. So basically, this entails that if those that are eligible they're able to get a 30-day supply of insulin immediately at their pharmacy for no more than $35. This is only for people with emergency needs. So essentially, if you can't afford it, and if within 7 days you'll have serious health consequences. And so essentially they're just trying to save people from dying at the hands of these drug companies. And it also entails that if you Minnesotans who are eligible can get a year supply of insulin for no more than $50 per 90-day refill. So even with this, guys, if we do some quick mathematics, so 90 days, 3 months, 12 months in a year, times 4, 50 times 4, $200. So it's still more expensive than the Canadian system. But somehow this goes against the Constitution because you're taking away all our margins. We can't even function anymore. So it's just laughable what they're talking about here. And just to talk about the fraudulence of the insulin market, 3 huge international corporations called Sanofi, a French one, and Novo Nordisk, and Eli Lilly are the 3 companies that control 99% of the world's insulin. So we talk about how we want to have free markets, or especially the more right wing, the Ben Shapiro's of the world. They love talking about how we have to have a free market system because that's how we create innovation in the health sector. Now listen to me when I say that. Having 3 huge companies is essentially just an oligopoly. They work together to make sure, guys, let's not go too cheap this year because we want to keep our. And they all benefit from keeping the prices high. I mean, there's no kind of lower cost option. But how these companies work is not what you think it is. These companies essentially steal the ideas of universities, which American people pay for because they grant universities research money, and a lot of it is public money, while a lot of it is private. But anyways, it's certainly not coming from Sanofi or Novo Nordisk, right? So these huge conglomerates and these huge healthcare companies, they don't actually pay for pretty much any of their research. It's all done by public funding, and the real risk stuff is done by public funding. And so somehow when we pay for insulin research or when we pay for corona research, we don't even get anything back from it. In fact, next month the corona tests are no longer going to be paid for by the state, by the federal government. Sorry. So we're going to have to pay for the corona test that we developed, or that we paid for the development of. And then when the vaccine comes out, it's also going to be a $2.1 billion industry in 2021. But we're the ones who paid $150 million to fund it. So I don't know what kind of system this is, but it doesn't really seem like a fair, free economy. So yeah. So it's just serious fraudulence. And just to like add some more, a little bit of nastiness on top of this, the active health secretary, our Secretary of Health and Human Services was previously an Eli Lilly executive. So you have somebody in power that's supposed to be taking care of American people, making sure they're able to get their drugs. But it turns out this guy actually worked for Eli Lilly. So he's obviously doing the bidding of his former coworkers and his former employees and his bosses. And as a result, you've had, since 2002, the price of insulin triple. And now people are like Alex Smith are dying because they have to ration insulin. And because we have no actual system where people can get it affordably, and somehow we don't treat healthcare as a right but as some kind of privilege, people are dying because they have to ration insulin. And even this whole argument of guys, but we need to keep like innovating. But who said you can't have a private? Nobody said you can't have a private additional system on top of a public system. That's what they do in Austria, and they have their industry, their healthcare system is ranked 7th, and the U.S. is ranked 34th or 37th. So you can't have it both ways. And by the way, all the risky research ever done is always done by the state and through grants, because no private company would ever take upon such risky investing in R&D. Like, they have certain budgets and they have to pay their investors, so they're not gonna like waste money on very risky R&D. They're gonna do whatever is like practical or pragmatic, or they can see a reasonable route for profits. All this stuff is done by us, but then we don't get any of the we don't reap any benefits from it. So it's just funny that this company is really this lobbying group is trying to sue them during a pandemic. But luckily, it's for some reason it's the law still is in effect at the moment. It's asking the court for a permanent injunction. So funny stuff here. But since it's not a temporary injunction, the law remains on the books for now, but they're asking for a permanent one. So if it does get passed, that means like it's a precedent, so you can't actually reverse it at that point. So fun stuff happening. Shows you the real fraudulence of the health sector and of big pharma. So lovely news today.